Hello YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting on a Fan. Good evening. Right now the time is approximately 6:40 p.m. and the date is Wednesday, January 29th, 2020. The Sun is in Aquarius and the Moon is waxing in Aries. Here is the February 2020 entry for Llewellyn's 2020 Tarot Calendar. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of the cover of the calendar. And in a few moments, I'm also going to have him do a close-up of the February 2020 entry of said calendar. Still learning how to master this, one would think after a while. So, it depicts the Lover's card from the Mermaid Tarot. The Mermaid Tarot is created by Leeza Robertson and illustrated by Julie Dillon. And it talks about the Lover's card and the symbol of the mermaid and reflection, and her reflection, the connection, and the journal prompt. So I'm going to start with the Lover's card. It's so funny because, you know, when I first began learning about the archangels, once again, my phenomenal personal psychic advisor, Roger Pratt, taught me that Archangel Raphael is traditionally depicted on the Lover's card of the Sacred Tarot, which, as soon as I heard that, I thought to myself, well, that makes so much sense. More people have so much more bullshit about romance than anything else. And really, you know, I sometimes wonder if people have more stuff, more gunk, more BS about romance and sex, or about money and prosperity. Sometimes it depends on the day. And those of you, and most of you know that I have taught group prosperity classes and group love consciousness classes, specifically divine prosperity events and divine love healing events. So it depends on the day. But I think it's safe to say, given how many more people participate in my divine prosperity events, that more people have more stuff about money than about sex. Even Louise L. Hay said something similar to that, but I digress. So, the Lover's card. Everyone gets excited when they see the Lover's card because we yearn for more or better love in our lives. I'm sorry, I'm going to read that a little more slowly. Everyone gets excited when they get the Lover's card because we yearn for more or better love in our lives. Distracted by anticipation, it is easy to forget that we can't love another until we love ourselves. Yes, yes, yes. And it's so funny because for the longest time, when I would lead a divine love healing event, my focus was, you don't have somebody? Fine. You are still phenomenal. And that's still my take. You know, that's still like where I come from. But I do know it's important for me, as somebody leading a divine love healing event, to acknowledge the desire people have for a romantic relationship or for a better romantic relationship. But I digress. Symbol, mermaid and reflection. Now, I'm going to say something about this card. This is the second card in this calendar that depicts something different in the reflection than the one looking at the reflection. Like, for example, and I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do one more close-up. You will see that the mermaid is looking at herself in the mirror, but in the mirror she sees herself as human, or human-looking. And that's not a coincidence. The Moon card of the Everyday Witch Tarot, you see a full moon in the sky, you see a witch riding her broom, there's a black cat looking at this reflective pool, and the black cat sees itself as a panther, a black panther, not as a black cat. And recently I had the honor and pleasure of participating in an amazing workshop led by Reverend Glenn Morton Ganaway, who is the holy husband of the Reverend Yolanda. And it was on my birthday, January 8th, and I was so happy because it was something I wanted to do something different for my birthday. And one of the things that he talked about was, what does 2020 represent? And I was like, it represents a lot of things. So I didn't say anything. But then he's like, it represents vision, as in perfect vision. And I was like, oh, I got it, you know. Because when I first heard 2020, I thought about the TV show. Didn't occur to me like perfect vision, because I don't have 20/20 vision. Why would I think of 20/20, right? Anyway, So, traditional decks show a man and a woman, but those are symbols and can be read on many levels. Two separate people coming together or two aspects of an individual. How many times have you pulled the Lover's card for yourself and it is not represented the potential of a romantic relationship? And keep in mind, the Lover's card is a major arcana card. So it's not necessarily about a soulmate relationship or a twin soul relationship. What about the Lover's card is really about the relationship you have with your higher self, or your divine self, or with the divine herself. Connection. Early versions of the Lover's card, titled The Lover, showed one man choosing between two women. Often the image suggested a choice between virtue and sensuality, or between love and financial considerations. Now keep in mind, there are a lot of biblical passages that are represented in the major arcana of the tarot. I don't remember the exact phrasing offhand, but the Empress, or as I love calling her, the Enchanted Empress, is a perfect example. The passage from the book of Revelations about a woman who is crowned with 12 stars and holds the sun in her hand. The allegory of the Lover's card that depicts a man choosing between two women is Adam's two wives. His first wife Lilith and his second wife Eve. And the other thing about the Lover's card is that maybe it's not even about choosing one or the other. Those of us who are polyamorous in nature and intention would be like, why not choose them both? And then, of course, those of us who are looking at this from a symbolic perspective, what about a third option? Because sometimes we are presented with two choices, but what about if there's a third choice? I vividly remember giving a reading to a longtime client who's become a good friend over the years, and I distinctly remember one time I saw the Lover's card in his reading, and I said to him, maybe you need to choose this path. And it was and instead of going from here or here, here or here, it wasn't about A or B, it was about C. C, like crossing the sea. Oh shit! Wow! Okay, I just blew myself out. I blew my mind. And I'm getting chills. Oh my God. Oh my goddess. Oh my goddess. Seriously. Oh wow. Okay, I just blew my mind. Okay. See, you can learn the tarot at any time from anyone, including yourself. Okay. The idea of choice still plays into the modern understanding of this card, although the focus has shifted to romantic relationships. Tarot scholars also often talk about, quote-unquote, the union of opposites, although this idea can sound really vague. The connection to a male and female union is obvious, but there is more to this card. Opposites might be too strong of a word. Instead, we can think about it as a connection where there was separation. Oh my goddess, that's so wild, because one of the things that A Course in Miracles teaches is about addressing the separation between oneself and spirit, or as in the divine spirit, or as in the divine. Yeah, I need to make more of an effort of rereading A Course in Miracles. No, that's not true. I have decided to read A Course in Miracles from the beginning. I need to find my copy and then do that. Instead, we can think about it as connection where there was separation. Are you connected to yourself? How do you connect with others? Do your actions, thoughts, and feelings connect with your values and ideals? What are you choosing to connect with, or rather, who are you choosing to connect with, and why? And you know, just that alone could be a separate video. And I may do that at some point, I may not, but certainly I have a few journal prompts. I have some new journal prompts. Speaking of which, journal. Like the mermaid gazing at her human self, we often have two images of ourselves, our everyday selves and our ideal selves. Do you love your everyday self? Why or why not? Would you love your ideal self better? Why or why not? How do you treat your everyday self? Do you deny yourself love, happiness, or grace because you don't think you deserve good things, or don't treat yourself with mercy and kindness? Mercy and kindness. That almost sounds like scripture to me. Remember, I am a happily recovered Catholic, so... How does your self-love shape how you treat others you love? I'm going to read that again. How does your self-love shape how you treat others you love? Would you treat your beloved as you treat yourself? Wow. Okay. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say this. Those of you who have been wanting a romantic relationship and have been unsuccessful in making it happen, I have a feeling that if you were to do some deep inner work with all of these questions, you would be a lot closer to clearing away and clearing out all the lingering gunk inside of you and around you, or as I would say, within you and without you, that prevents you from manifesting a divine romance. And you would be much closer to manifesting that divine romance. Wow, this was a really, really deep and heady discussion about this entry for the Llewellyn's 2020 Tarot calendar. And the amazing thing is that we're only a few days away from February. I want to quickly acknowledge something. I never cared for Valentine's Day. And the only reason I care a little bit about Valentine's Day is because it happens to be Dr. Catherine Ponder's birthday. And here's the thing. When I first began reading The Holy Book of Women's Mysteries by Z. Budapest, I learned that Ostara, which is also known as the vernal equinox or the spring equinox, is the witch's Valentine's Day. And it makes perfect sense because, you know, and I remember that Z. Budapest wrote this in ancient times. Around the time of February 14th, there was a festival called Diazia. And it was a festival of doom and gloom. I mean, even the name, Diazia. Like, really, who wants to think about love and sex when Diazia? It sounds nasty, Diazia. You know what I'm saying? Doom and gloom, Diazia. Yeah, I'm feeling all romantic and sexy with that, yeah. No. But it makes perfect sense because remember, the vernal equinox is the date when the sun enters Aries, the sign of new beginnings, the strongest of the fire signs. From a magical perspective, the element of fire represents will and passion. It corresponds to the direction of south, at least in the northern hemisphere. Because I would imagine witches in the southern hemisphere kind of reverse it. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, I mean, so I don't have an issue with Valentine's Day. I don't. It just that it never really excited me. And I always thought it was about my bullshit about romantic relationships. No. It's because witches of old were like, Valentine's Day's around Diazia. The vernal equinox is about, ooh, let's get it on. Yeah, okay. Gonna bring it down. Thank you, YouTube, for honoring who I am and what I do. I thank you so much for the likes, for the shares, for the comments, and for those of you who availed yourselves of my psychic services in 2019, and thank you in advance to those of you who are going to avail yourselves of my psychic services in 2020, and of course, thank you to those of you who already have availed yourselves of my psychic services in 2020, the year of a solid, balanced foundation. I wish you a beautiful evening, a wonderful week, and as always, peace and many mountains of blessings. And stay tuned.